Hello! Today we're going to be working with clay, and we are going to be making a receptacle or container. Could be used as a vase, could be used as a bowl, and we are just going to need a piece of clay and a toothpick for this today. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to break off a piece of clay about this size. You can see it in my hand. Not super huge, and we're going to be using this to make a coil. For those of you that have done coil building before, you know that you roll like this until you get a coil, which kind of looks like a tube, or think about a snake, that is about as thick as your finger. With coils, you want to make them even. You don't want one side to be a lot larger than the other. You want them to be pretty uniform all the way through. And you also don't want them to be too thin, because if they are, then they're going to break and it's not going to work. So I'm rolling mine on my table. I also sometimes will put it between my hands, because when you get the clay, it's a little bit cold and your hands will warm it up. You don't want to handle the clay too much because it'll dry out, but you do want to handle it enough that it's malleable. So once you have your coil, you're going to take it and you are going to roll it up like this. Now, if it's pretty small, you can break off another piece of clay and you can do the same thing. And I'm gonna go kind of quickly, so you're not watching a video this whole time. But obviously I'd like you to go more slowly, because if you go too quickly, what you'll get is these little tiny cracks that you'll have to smooth out with your finger. And it'll just look maybe not quite like you'd like it to. It tends to crack if you're going too quickly. You wanna go slow. If you do get some cracks, smooth it out with your finger. Don't add water. If you add too much water, your clay is gonna turn into mud and it's not gonna work. So you don't want to add too much. That's a good size for me. I am going to, once I have this coil, going to start blending it with my finger so that it's a flat bottom. This is going to be the base of our vessel, the base of our container. When you're doing this, you don't want to press too hard. Again, a lot of you did the coil building with me, at least in 4th grade. Some of you did not, but if you did it before, you probably remember that if you press too hard when you go to pick it up, you won't be able to, because it's going to be stuck to your table. If that happens, if it does get stuck to your table, don't go ahead and scrape your nails underneath it and pull it off. Let me know and I can use a wire cutter to cut it off. If you are taking your clay and whatever you had made and like squishing it together again, it's going to create air bubbles and it's going to explode in the kiln, destroying your project and everyone else's. All right. You can see I smoothed out one side. I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing to the other. This, like I said, will be the base. So if you wanted to go ahead and put your initials on it now, you can. CK, my initials, Courtney Kolstad. The next thing you're going to be doing is ripping off much smaller kind of bits of clay, and you're going to be rolling them into a sphere or a ball. That ball is going to be about the size of a grape. It's not going to be super huge. It could be, if you're getting really ambitious, as small as like maybe a really like pretty large blueberry, but you don't want it to be teeny. Then we're going to take our toothpick and we're going to score it like that, which makes a little tic-tac-toe board on it. I have my water off side over here. We're going to add a little bit of water to it. Just one fingerful of water. We're not going to add a whole lot of water. Just one fingerful of water. Then we're going to add another score, or a little tic-tac-toe board, right here on the base. And we're going to press the tic-tac-toe board on this clay to that, just like this. And because we put slip on it, which is just a fingerful of water, if we do that and we wiggle, it should stay in place. When you make those marks with your toothpick on one side and then the other, it's going to work kind of like fingers, locking those two pieces of clay together, and it won't fall apart in the kiln. If you don't score it and add that water or that slip, then it will. You're then going to continue to make more spheres and score Then get some water, 1 fingerful of water, until you've made a circle. And then actually you're just gonna keep going. You're gonna keep going and you're gonna build up. So once you have a circle of spheres right there, you're gonna add and create like little walls, little borders. Scoring, fingerful of water, pressing one to the other, slipping, and you're gonna slowly build up these walls so that you're gonna have kind of this wall of this container or this vase or this bowl. For that reason, you're gonna want all these spheres to be about the same size so that they're not getting really small. When you add spheres on top, you're gonna join them also when you add spheres that go right next to each other. So if I were to put one right here, 1 fingerful of water, you're also gonna wanna put one right here and right here. So you can see I added one right here on the side and one right here on the bottom, 2 right here as well. And those are going to press next to each other, then wiggle them. And what it's gonna create is kind of the look of like a stone wall going all the way around. So then you're gonna keep going. All right, you can make yours much bigger than this. This is a little bit smaller than my hand. I wouldn't make it any smaller because we're gonna be using it to put stuff in there. Okay, get going.